Bara. Good afternoon, friends. Today I have the pleasure and honor of welcoming Mr. Lav Diaz, an independent filmmaker from the Philippines, whose film When the Waves Are Gone has been screened in the international Panorama section of the 53rd IFFI being held in Goa. Mr. Lav Diaz, in the world of cinema, is regarded as one of the key figures of the slow cinema movement. But as we were chatting in the lounge, he said that he really doesn't like this label because he considers his films like novels. So you don't judge a novel or you don't decide what the novel is by the number of pages. Neither do you decide what a painting is by the width and the breadth of the canvas. So his film is a dialogue in which the protagonists are living their lives. So he began making films in the late 90s, and prior to that he was a film critic, I think, a journalist.
Yeah, journalist.
And also a crime reporter.
All those. Just to make a living.
After going through all that, he finally decided that he would like to be a filmmaker because he thinks that a film can really bring about dialogue and change in the way people think and live their lives. And that is what he's been trying to do through his films. Except for 3 films, most of his films are in black and white. They are exceptionally long. In fact, When the Waves Are Gone, he considers it one of his short films, which is 3 hours long. He has films which are 9 hours long, and which, when it was screened, there were only 2 people watching the film, one viewer and the projectionist. But that should not keep us from watching Mr. Diaz's films, because he, in The Waves Are Gone, I won't give away too much. It's a story of 2 cops, and maybe should we screen the little clip that we have first? Thank you. Before I kind of give a synopsis about the movie, I'd just like to mention that his film won the Golden Leopard in 2014 at the Locarno Film Festival, What Is Before, and the Golden Lion in 2016 at the Venice Film Festival for his film The Woman Who Left. Both these films were in black and white, and The Woman Who Left was 4 hours long. This film, When the Waves Are Gone, had its world premiere in the Venice Film Festival this year in the out of competition section. And it's not only in black and white, but Mr. Diaz has also shot it on 16mm film. It's not a digital film. It's shot on actual 16mm film. Now, from the clip, you will see that it's about the narco wars. You must have got an idea about the narco wars unleashed by the government on the people of the Philippines in the name of cleansing the country of drugs and drug wars and drug lords. It's a revenge tragedy focusing on two corrupt policemen, two cops with a grudge. And Diaz tries to passionately, in all his films, he passionately captures the recent events that have been impacting the Philippines due to various political decisions. And in this film, particularly, he tries to show the pointless and the paranoid violence unleashed by policemen who committed crimes in the name of cleansing the society of drugs. Uh, and because it is shot in black and white, we see that the utter bleakness of the entire plot of the lives of the people is conveyed very beautifully. And at the same time, the audience really does not have any moral identification, but the two protagonists are compelling figures as we watch them going through their inner turmoil. So, if the audience has any questions, we'll start, but I would request Mr. Diaz to kind of speak a bit about his style of filmmaking and also about this particular film, because
Yeah.
it's about recent history, uh, not very far back. In the past few years, we also have been hearing about these drug wars that have been conducted. So if you could just give us a little
Hi,
background.
good morning. There's no style. It's just that when I started making cinema, I love, I grew up watching a lot of Hollywood films, Hong Kong cinema, even Bollywood, down in the southern part of the country, and the usual Filipino cinema, which is very much inspired by Hollywood as well in terms of form. But when I started making cinema, I want to make cinema the way I want them. It's that simple kind of principle. So I subverted even the durational thing of cinema, so-called, because when you make cinema, they always say that you cannot go beyond an hour and a half or 2 hours, and they said it's a durational thing where man can only sit and watch cinema for 2 hours, and beyond that, I think it's not true. That is imposed by capitalism, it's business thing, so that they can show the film like 7 times, 3 times a day, 4 times a day. So for me, cinema is more of a cultural activity for me. It's an art form where I want to express myself. I want to represent my culture. I want to seek meaning with this so-called existence. I want to be dialectical about it. I want to examine life through my cinema. So it's not a style. It's more of a free form kind of expression. And okay, going to the film that's showing here, we started that 7 years ago. It was actually a gangster film. So I started it as a gangster film, and we couldn't get the actor that we want and even the budget that we want, so it was stalled, it was delayed. And then 3 years ago, before the pandemic struck, we decided to pursue it again. And then I told the producers that I'm not going to pursue the gangster film anymore. I want to have a reaction to what's happening in the country, because it's been 3 years since the Duterte administration came, and there's been a lot of killings. There's no accountability, a lot of extrajudicial killings. When his term ended, actually, there's the number of deaths on his so-called drug war has already reached 20,000 to 30,000 according to human rights groups. So that film is a reaction to that, it's a reaction. there's an urgency to make that film for me. Yeah.
So this was, I think, your first co-production.
No, not really. Some of the films are also co-production,
Okay, okay.
but within the country, this is the international
France,
co-production.
Denmark, and Portugal.
Yeah, Arte France helped, and there's little money also from the World Cinema Fund of Berlin. Yeah, and
So-
Rosa Films from
Okay,
Portugal.
but
yeah.
your earlier films, I mean, you
Yeah.
kind of raised finance on your own and you did
Yeah,
them on
yeah.
very, very tight budget. So
The really
this
long
time-
films, I did them alone sometimes with a friend, or I'm just borrowing some cameras and just shooting and shooting. So it's that kind of
Okay.
process.
But this film you used actual 16
Mm.
film. So, I mean, why did you do that?
Well, I love 16. My first film was my 11-hour film was actually shot on 16 millimeter. It was years and years ago. I made that film from 1995 up to 2006, and I was using 16 millimeter. I was doing 3 jobs, 4 jobs just to be able to buy the rolls and shoot the film. So it took me 10 years to finish the film, that 11-hour film. I love 16 millimeter, especially the black and white. Yeah.
Okay, so for post-production, then you had to send the film to Japan?
Yeah, to Romania. There's a big problem because we didn't realize that there's no more laboratory in Asia. There's one in Japan, but it's quite expensive, so we found a very cheap laboratory in Romania. So while we're shooting, this was during the height of the pandemic, from 2020 to 2021 up to early 2022. So we were shooting and sending the rolls to Romania, and 16. You cannot see the image until it's it's done in the laboratory and digitized. So it's a different process.
Yeah. And also because your films have that kind of length, so what is your editing process? Do you have an editor or do you actually
I
sit?
edit them myself. Yeah.
So
you just connect them anyway because my shots are long, so just connect them. No, it's hard work actually because you also find the rhythm. You measure them by beats. I'm a musician myself, so there's a rhythmic process to editing. You find a beat. You find
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So since you mentioned that you're a musician, so what role does music play in the making of the film? Do you think it's another element of the film,
Yes,
a
very much.
character in the film?
That's the great thing about cinema. You can put everything there: poetry, music, the corporality of life, physicality of life, which is like dance, movement. There's a lot of movement, and it's a whole universe. Cinema has that power to encapsulate life. It's a microcosm of what we're doing every day. Yeah. From sound to nothingness. Yeah.
And tell me about this love for these long shots where almost like the characters who are being filmed they are visible, they are there, but it's very difficult. Do you want to create this divide between the viewer and the characters? Why do you do
No,
that?
in fact, no. I want you to be part of that universe. I don't want to manipulate it. My background as a journalist gave me that kind of objectivity in my cinema where I don't want to manipulate. There's just one shot for every scene, and it's kind of withdrawn and a bit of detached, so there's no manipulation whatsoever. So I want to be the observer in my cinema.
So you don't feel that there's a divide between the person watching the film and the characters?
In fact, people who are into my cinema, that's totally negated, the divide. They're part of it.
Okay.
By the 8th hour, you're really part of it. You've been suffering for 8 hours already, so you're part of that universe already that sucked you in. The immersive process is already quite complete when you're into it. for hours and hours, and there's no manipulation whatsoever.
Mm.
No, imposing soundtrack, no cut to cuts where you're being manipulated by the filmmaker. We go to the eyes now, we go to the tears now, we go to the bird. I don't want to do that. I just want to show you this whole universe, and that's it.
Yeah, because you in one interview you've said you don't want to make perfect cinema. You want to have this dialogue with the truth.
Because if you observe, especially Hollywood, everything is subordinated to the movement of the lead actor, the so-called lead actor. So you just follow the movement of the lead actor till the end. You don't see the little things, the verisimilitudes of life, you don't see. So I want to do that, A 15-hour shot, you will notice the tree, you will notice the bird, you will notice the ant walking, you will feel the thing, you will smell the whole thing. So it's.
So in fact, there is a subordinate character, the photojournalist.
Mm.
Is that you in the film?
It's a real character. His
Okay.
name is Panorama. He was a photojournalist. He quit now, but he's part of the human rights advocacy group now. During the height of the murders of the Duterte regime, 2016 up to 2019, he was a witness. He was there. He was a part of the beat, and there were like 10 deaths every night done by the police, and he recorded that. One of his photos is called the Piedra. It went up to the cover of New York Times. He's a great journalist, Rafael Lerma. He's a real character. I was inviting him to be part of the film, and he was so shy. So I looked
You
for.
wanted him to act?
Yeah, but I got a theater actor who looks like him, and
Okay.
It's kind of a pseudo documentary part of the film.
Okay.
But it's real. The photos are real.
Mhm.
Those are his real photos.
Okay, the photos that
Yes,
were used
yes.
are real photos
Yes,
taken by
the murders of the government. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Those are real photos.
But since you believe that cinema can make a change, but if you look at the politics of Philippines now, I mean, one of the
Yeah, sometimes cinema is too late. Yeah, we chronicle things, but then the fuck is done. So how can we have a more urgent cinema now? It's hard. It's hard to reconcile that contradiction where we're trying to pursue the truth, but it's too late. The pursuance, the so-called pursuance. But I still believe that cinema can affect change.
yeah, why not?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay, I'll come to the your love for shooting in black and white, because here we had some great black and white film directors. I don't know if you've seen those films, Guru Dutt.
Yeah, my favorite Indian film is by Maniko,
Money Kaur.
Our Daily Bread.
Okay.
I love that film.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I've watched that so many times.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have you watched any of Guru Dutt's films like Pyasa?
The only real Indian cinema available in the country is by the Apu trilogy by Sanjay Dutt Ray.
Yeah, those are also in black
Rijik
and white.
Patak, without
Ritvik
those,
Ghattar, yeah.
the works of Patak and Ray.
So why do you, although you've made 3 films in color, but why do you have this?
I love color, but for me, cinema is black and white. Maybe it's just this. It's part of my visual cortex because I grew up watching a lot of black and whites, and it's a different universe. If you watch black and white, so the dialogue immediately shifts to another universe. It's a kind of very Socratic in a way, where you get into the discourse immediately because of the shades.
Yeah, in this film also, the shadows which are playing out, they are almost like characters in the film.
And it's even ghostly.
Yeah.
So, I just love black and white. I don't really have a deep theoretical discourse on it. It's just loving cinema, just like Henri Bazin said, any progress, any advancement in cinema is always a step going back to the nature of cinema. So for me, the nature of cinema goes back to that, black and white.
Okay. And would you like to just tell us a bit about the Filipino film industry? Because we are not very much aware of what is
It's an industry. They're making a lot of money.
like
But
Hollywood.
as poor filmmakers, we don't have money. So it's a very dynamic industry now. It's alive again after the 2 year.
But what kind of films are made? I mean, are they
It's
action
basically Hollywood based. The industry. There's a big movement now for amongst young people doing the cinema in so many different islands in the country, and because of the emancipation they got from digital, and they're doing their thing. They're also very dynamic. And thank you to these festivals, because that's the only way we can show films. In the Philippines, it's dominated by Hollywood.
Everywhere.
All cinemas in the country now is Black Panther. So there's a thing. So it's still capitalism. So that's the problem.
But do
they
the
put
OTT
culture aside.
Do the OTTs show Filipino cinema? Is it there?
Yeah, we have small festivals as well.
No, but the OTT platforms, are they showing films like Netflix, Amazon?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have, the most dominant thing now is Netflix, all the streaming platforms. So yeah, it's also a great space for filmmakers. The academy, of course, campuses, they show cinema. So, in spite of these difficulties with, very commercial venues, cinema will, keep thriving.
And could you tell us why you made the film in Tagalog?
It's the lingua franca of the Philippines. We have two major languages in the country, which is Tagalog, we call it Filipino, and English.
Okay, English.
English is one of the two dominant languages in the country because of the Americans who were under America since 1898. So there's English.
But Philippines has also been a colony of Spain.
Spain for almost 400 years.
So Spanish is not spoken.
The bourgeois. The old rich, they still speak Spanish. For them, speaking Spanish is, the attribute that makes them the bourgeois, the ruling class.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like 10% of the country. But we have two regions in the country that speaks just like here. We call it Chabacano language, a bastardized kind of Spanish language. One province in the south and one province in the northern part of the country. We call them Chabacanos.
Okay.
Yeah. Before, Spanish was taught in college, but now they stopped it.
It's discontinued.
Yeah. It's more English and Tagalog.
Okay.
Yeah. If you have questions. Yeah.
Hello. Hi, love. Watched your film yesterday. Wonderful.
Thank you.
I just have a question regarding the the comedy elements in your films, because you put a lot of comedy. It's not the slapstick comedy or. So what do you have to say about the comedy elements which you have put in your film?
Characters of one of the characters, he's funny, so I think that's comedy. Yeah. It has to be character driven. It's not a gag, but it's he has this element of there's an element of silliness in his character because he's a weirdo, so he's kind of funny.
As a matter of fact, both the characters were, the old guy and the young cop, they were comical in their own ways, eccentricities.
You can see it that way.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
The physicality, everything. Yeah.
Okay. So you wanted to show the human side of the police officers, that they are so human and
Oh yes.
other than the
They're
strong.
human beings.
Okay.
When I was a young journalist, I was working in the police beat, and they become my friends, investigators, corrupt police officers. I know them. Yeah, I worked with them when I was still in journalism. Yeah. It's a colorful, sector of life. Police officers, yeah, investigators. They're so complex. Yeah, complex characters. Yeah.
I love.
I,
Since your movies are that long, are you like content with the story that you have made, or are you still like something has been left out?
yeah, always. I make films that are long, but you're still yearning for things, longing for things. You wanna complete things. Nothing is fulfilled in life anyway. So it's the same with cinema. It never ends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. So I love what ma'am said that you look at films as novels, and there is a lot of literary influence in your movies, including this film. I think there is a lot of Count of Monte Cristo. You can see that influencing. Are there any other books or works of literature that you referenced for this film?
I didn't think about Count of Monte Cristo
Oh.
when I was doing this film, but
There is a lot of.
I've referenced a lot of literary works through the years, like The Woman Who Left was a takeoff from Leo Tolstoy's short story, God Sees the Truth But Waits. I love Tolstoy's works. Russian literature is great, yeah. Norte, The End of History, is from Crime and Punishment of Dostoevsky. So I always, they inspire me, all these novels. So.
Even in this film, one of the characters has a quote by Agatha Christie and Poirot, right? That's written in the background.
Which is this? The film?
In this film, the When Waves Are Gone, there's something seeking the truth from within.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
that's from Agatha Christie's character.
Yes. So
Hercule
how important?
Poirot, the great
Yeah,
investigator of Agatha Christie. Yeah.
So how important is this level of detailing in characters for you, and what is your process to develop a character like that?
Cinema is details, You just like the literature. You watch War and Peace, Anna Karenina, all these things. There are so many spaces, but you see, they create spaces at the same time, great details. And cinema also has that kind of attribute. When you put importance on details, it's really powerful. The little things that you see, really powerful.
I wanted to ask you, how do you select your actors? I mean, are they commoners? Are they trained actors?
It's a mix. I mix theater actors especially, and when we go to a certain locality to shoot, we seek people to act in the film. We involve the community always, yeah.
But how do you handle that? Because
Well, it's for actors it's easier because they have techniques already. They know how to attack it. Just give them the script, little discourse here and there. But for non-actors, you have to do a lot of rehearsals and, of course, telling them about the provenances of their characters, of what we're doing, and of course, you guide them how to act in front of the camera because they're shy or they're nervous. They forget things. They don't know how to react. That's a big problem with non-actors. How to react is a big problem. So you have to, tell the actors to really involve, or have some rehearsals with them at least, to give them that confidence in front of the camera.
and do you have film schools and acting schools in the Philippines?
Yeah, it's everywhere now. All universities have film schools now. Before there's nothing. During our time there's nothing. We can only have workshops when German experimental filmmakers come to the country or some British filmmakers come.
And your cinematographer, do you use the same person in all the films, or
In most of my films, I'm also the cinematographer, and if the load is too much, I ask my friend Larry to come and help me. That's always the activity. Mm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Diaz.
Thank you so
It
much.
was
Yeah.
wonderful speaking to you.
You too.
Very nice.
Thank you.